I'm doing all right. I'm doing perfectly just fine coming off a Backlash, but I know you're still kind of recovering from Jey Uso coming up short of becoming the World Heavyweight Champion.
I'm still repairing my television. I ripped off the mold.
The best part is, wait, did you predict Jey Uso to win? I forget. Did you predict, or did you just really want him to win?
I did.
You did?
I said him too. Fuck Damian Priest. He sucks.
You know what? Let's not waste any time here. I was going to kick off with the Backlash review. Let's do that, but let's not even start with the first match. We'll get back, Tongaloa, cool, like whatever. New tag team champions, who gives a shit? I'm just kidding. I do care about that, but we'll get to that momentarily. Let's start with the Jey Uso thing, because we've talked about this at length this past week over text and whatnot, and it's been the conversation on social media as well. The guy is super over. I didn't expect for a second. I mean, they did convince me on a few different points. I will say that. It wasn't extremely predictable that Jey Uso would lose. He did lose on Saturday at Backlash in Lyon, France, coming up short again of not only becoming the World Heavyweight Champion, a title that he's gone for twice now in 6 months, but he also fell short to Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. He fell short of becoming Intercontinental Champion against Gunther. He fell short against Austin Theory last summer of becoming United States Champion. He even lost the tag team titles with Cody Rhodes last fall. What is going on with Jey Uso, Mr. Marceau, and how do you fix it? That is my question to you.
I mean, I just feel, like you said, he's obviously always lost. All of it came from pretty much Jimmy. Obviously, this time was a Judgment Day interference. But they keep, teasing it on commentary, oh, Jay's never won a singles title. So I feel like eventually it has to culminate with something. I mean, I don't think him and Priest are permanently done yet either. I mean, he's facing Ilya, I believe, next week in King of the Ring. So I'm trying to see maybe some Judgment Day interference there, help Ilya beat Jay, and then maybe get Jay and Damian again at King of the Ring. But, I mean, I think eventually it has to pay off with him winning something. I mean, it doesn't have to be the World Heavyweight Championship, but he has to win something. I mean, I said to you before via text, I just feel like this was 5-10 years ago. People would have turned on LA Knight and Jey Uso 6 months ago. They're super over, but they have nothing to show for it. I mean, maybe fans are just more forgiveful now, but I mean, 5-10 years ago, if you were someone that was high up and coming or someone that was getting a big push and you lost every title match that meant anything, you'd basically be like Braun Strowman 2.0 at this point. But people are still behind them. But I think it needs to culminate with some kind of victory that means something.
Well, does the meaningful victory come in the form of the King of the Ring tournament? Like you said, he advanced on Monday, beating Finn Balor in the first round, replacing a injured Drew McIntyre. Now, I honestly expect from the beginning they knew McIntyre couldn't go, but Jey Uso had just lost the World Heavyweight Championship match to Damian Priest. So announcing him right then and there would have been odd. So having him replace McIntyre, I think, makes sense. I think that was the plan all along, honestly. I could be wrong on that. But regardless, he did beat Balor again on Monday to advance. He's going to take on the debuting Ilya Dragunov, Raw's newest acquisition. He just beat Ricochet in a banger on Monday. We'll get to that later on. Does he beat Dragunov? Does Jey Uso get his first meaningful win as a single star? Not counting the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal bullshit. Does he win the King of the Ring, and is that what you're talking about? Does he win that at King and Queen of the Ring later this month?
I don't see it.
So he loses again.
I don't know if you see it. I don't think he'll win it. I don't know. The way the bracket's set up, I don't think he... Honestly, I don't even know if he should win it. I don't think he will win it either. So I think there's a better chance that Judgment Day comes out and helps, whatever, distracts him. He loses to Ilya. We get him and Damian again, than him winning King of the Ring outright. Honestly, I think do that. Him and Damian at King of the Ring. The same kind of shit happens. Judgment Day comes out. Damian's seemingly going to win. That's where we get Jimmy comes back, helps Jay finally, because he fucked Jay all those other times. Helps Jay finally win. Jay wins the belt, and then you have him drop it to Drew at Clash of the Castle, because then Drew has a bitch that Jay they already have a feud there too, so Jay can hold the belt for a month or I don't even think it's not even a month. It'd be 3-4 weeks, and then he can drop the belt to Drew, and then Drew can hold the belt and then face Punk when Punk's ready.
Yeah, that's honestly not a bad idea, because my other question to you was, which we've talked about, I just do not personally see Jey Uso as not just a world champion, I'm talking long-term champion of 6 months. Now, I know he had Kofi Kingston as champion for 6 months, but it was a different wasn't that different of a time, I guess. But I don't know. I even thought Kofi was kind of more ready for that spot. And obviously, Jey Uso's even more over than Kofi was back in 2019. But if you're saying just to put it on him for 3 weeks, because I said, even like if he were to win it, I'm not going to text you and say, what the fuck is this bullshit? I just don't think him holding it for 6 months is all that viable. I just think he's better in the mode of challenging for it. But if he has to win something at some point. I agree with that. I think him winning the World Heavyweight Championship could be viable, because does any other opponent come to mind as far as who who Damian Priest defends against, the King and Queen of the Ring? Because no one on the Raw roster makes sense to me right now, and everyone else is kind of busy in the tournament anyway.
No, exactly. That's my thought. And like I said, and then you only hold the belt for like a little bit, and then like it's like a notch on the belt. Like, oh, he finally won the singles title. They can fucking throw it on all the graphics. He was a champion, blah blah blah. And like I said, then he can lose it to Drew, because I think that's the direction. He loses to Drew because Drew's already mad at him before. Took a spot in King of the Ring.
Mm-hmm.
Drew comes back, gets the title match, beats him in Scotland, and then we get him and Punk seemingly, hopefully, for SummerSlam. But I don't know when Punk's gonna be back. But I mean, obviously, right now that's the money match on Raw, and they're both just not there.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of connects the pieces to get there. Because, I mean, why would Priest face Drew? They're both heels.
Well, I mean, in Scotland, Drew would be the babyface. I mean, they're in his hometown. I think Drew would probably, I understand what you're saying, but I think in Scotland, they wouldn't have to worry about that, because Drew would get cheered over Damian. Like, Drew would be in, I mean, I don't think Jey would get booed, but I think Drew would be the favorite, though, because he's in his home country. But I'm fine with that. My idea was that Priest would hold it until Clash, and then he would. I mean, I think regardless, I think we can agree that Drew should probably walk out of Clash with that World Heavyweight Championship, because if he's not facing CM Punk on that show, which I would be okay with, because it's going to come to a certain point, and Punk popped up on Monday night, which was cool, unannounced appearance, enjoyed seeing him there, obviously. I didn't really say much of note. But they're going to get to a point where they're going to have to get physical or do something, because they're going to run out of material. I've been enjoying their exchanges and Punk's promos and McIntyre going off on him. I don't know if you can keep that hot for another 3 months until SummerSlam. I would do their first match on that show, but if Punk's not cleared until that show, they're going to have to figure something out. But having McIntyre be world champion in the meantime might not be a bad idea, and I think he would win it on that show. So I think we could both agree he definitely walks out of Clash as the World Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But Jey, though, I feel like I don't see what you proposed actually happening. I'm just saying that's a good idea, because honestly, I don't really know what else you do. Or actually, let me ask you this. So let's say he doesn't win the World Heavyweight Championship. I don't know if I would run back him and Damian and Jey at the next pay-per-view if Jey's not going to win. I feel like one loss is fine. To have him lose again, not exactly ideal, especially if it's going to end the same way with interference from Judgment Day. Clearly, Judgment Day is on the rocks right now. They're headed for a split. Do you think inadvertent interference from them either costing Damian the championship or just flat out turning on him at Saudi Arabia, which might be too soon? I would probably hold off on that. Damian and Finn, to me, sounds like it might be a SummerSlam match. Do you think that could also factor into Jey Uso potentially becoming champion? Not only Jimmy being there. Jimmy's kind of on the fence with me because I think he's hurt right now, legitimately. So he might not be ready.
Yeah, get him out there. Get him out there. Have Naomi drive out to the ring if he needs to get out there. I don't give a shit.
You know what?
I need the hoodie. Like the hoodie reveal in Saudi, I'd fall off my couch.
I will say, though, he was out injured in those early Jey Uso World Championship matches 4 years ago. Remember when he faced Roman in 2020? Jimmy Uso factored into the finish both times. He was hurt both of those times. He didn't come back until like a good 6-7 months later. So, I mean, it is. I don't know how hurt he is unless he got his leg amputated or something. I think it's possible that he's out there.
Well,
so
all he needs to do is just pull Priest out of the ring. That's all he needs to do with the referee. Just pull the referee out of the ring, hoodie on, pulls the hoodie off, Damian shits himself, it's Jimmy, Jey wins. Amazing. Say, cinema.
I told you before Mania, I did not like the idea of the Usos reuniting imminently because I like the idea of Jey being his own single star, but where I think this is headed is Jey either losing to Damian again or whatever, and they're just going to head right back into the Usos reunion without Jey getting anything to show for a single success. That's where I think this is going. And then obviously they'll factor into the Bloodline stuff. They'll probably keep Jey and Jimmy separate on Raw for a little while, and then run back him and Solo and shit later on when Roman's ready to return, maybe do a trade, I don't know. But that's probably where I see this going, which would be a shame to not at least give him like the Intercontinental Championship, which again I don't really see. Unless which someone had tweeted me the other day. What if Gable is hopefully the next Intercontinental Champion, and instead of Sheamus, which I was thinking, maybe Jey Uso knocks off Gable to win that championship at some point. Do you see that as a possibility potentially?
It just really depends on what the story is. I feel like getting the summer, end of the summer, early fall into winter, he's going to be with the whole Roman Reigns bloodline stuff. So it's like, where does that really fit into where he is, I guess? Like you said, I feel like if you lose to the Priest again, I mean, what do you do with him then? That's my question. And like I said, if Jimmy's hurt and he just loses again, then what? Well, so like I said, I feel like at least if he had the belt for like a hot second, it'd keep him going a little bit longer, and then you kind of lean into the whole bloodline stuff going into SummerSlam.
No, I agree with that. They have to kind of time it well, because
realistically, like I said, did Sammy really need to beat Gunther? Like, yeah, it's nice and all, but like, I guess he had the story of Chad too. But like, Jay could have been the one to beat him. Like, did Sammy need to do it again? Like,
I wouldn't have had Jay beat him.
Sammy. Hey, talk all about Sammy here.
How
many big wins does he need?
I don't know if Jay needed to beat him, but I still think it should have been Chad. But I think we both agree Sammy didn't really need it. But yeah,
Sammy didn't need it.
Sammy did not yeet it. They could have yeeted it to Jey Uso instead to rhyme unnecessarily. But last thing, though, with the Usos, if and when they do reunite, I mean, Jey looked like a fucking idiot at WrestleMania when Jimmy was like, oh, we're brothers, like, I love you, and then he fell for it anyway. I mean, he still won, thankfully, but, I mean, after everything Jimmy has done for this, or done to this guy, not for him, done to him in the past year, he still, like, forgave him immediately. So clearly he's going to forgive him when the time comes, post-Mania, when that reunion happens at some point in the next couple of months. My concern, though, is when they reunite the Usos for this Bloodline story, that the Usos will go right back to doing the New Day thing where they're strictly a tag team and Jay's not really a singles player on Raw. You look at the Raw roster, honestly, they don't really even need Jay as a single star in that show. They have a lot of them as it is. They don't really need to focus on Jay at all. But I would like to see him. I mean, he's doing so well in this role, and it's something that we haven't seen before just last year. I think it would be a mistake to put them just in the tag team division. I mean, Jimmy, if he wants to do single stuff like he has been, who gives a shit? I mean, he's not. I mean, I don't think anyone will really care. But I think Jay, they can at least continue to focus and feature him as a single star. Like you said, you just said Jimmy should help Jay win the world title. I mean, at that point, technically, they would be a tag team or back together. But Jay, at least for 3 weeks anyway, would be a world heavyweight champion. I mean, that's kind of my main concern as far as making sure he stays in the single spotlight and not strictly back to tag team stuff,
No, I agree. I think he should still have some single. Like I said, I think he's just so over as a singles guy that it would be a mistake just to put them back together again and not have any kind of singles momentum. But like I said, I feel like that would be the best way to kind of like connect them again. Like I said, I don't want like Jimmy just to come crawling back to me. He's like, okay, I'll take you back. Like I said, the whole WrestleMania thing was so dumb. But if you like actually help them for once, then maybe it would kind of make more sense that, okay, now he helped me, whatever, But yeah, I'd rather, I mean, just to put him back in a tag team would be kind of dumb.
No, I think that'd be stupid, especially if they were just to go back to the tag team stuff and beat fucking Awesome Truth or whatever for the World Tag Team titles. No thanks. Like, maybe down the road, not right now. Like, I still want Jay on his own. I say I don't really see him as a world champion long term, but I still want to see Jay doing his own thing. Because again, I mean, we've been to a bunch of shows, but I was at Raw on Monday, and the guy was one of the most over guys in the entire show. No surprise there, obviously. But they should take advantage of that instead of wasting it. And they would be hot as a tag team. Like, when the Usos turned babyface last year on Roman, there was a string of shows that summer before Jimmy turned heel, which was stupid. I mean, we were there for that. That went over like a fart in church. That was terrible. But prior to that point, the Usos were very over as a babyface tag team, and they didn't really tap into that at all because Jimmy immediately turned back on Jay and joined the Bloodline again. So they kind of have to rectify that and steer that fine line of not making them a full-fledged tag team while also kind of putting them back on the same side, because Jimmy, without the Bloodline, is fucking doomed. He is doomed to flounder on his own unless he's back with Jay, at least on a friendly level, if not just teaming with him all the time.